This is the time where Pierson shows us what fire ants feel like. So Pierson, if you could go ahead and demonstrate that.
So right here we have...
It's actually joking, but...
This is the invasive, exotic, red imported fire ant. And they were introduced about 50, 60 years ago to the southeastern United States, we think through New Orleans.
Who would do such a thing?
They came in on an accident, probably, with timber or other goods from South America. And then they've just been marching steadily across the southeastern landscape like a plague, and they hammer our native wildlife.
Yeah, imagine if you're a newt walking through this, it's just, I mean, will they actually kill a newt, or will they just make it feel bad enough to reverse back into the water?
They will kill a newt. We've actually found huge adult female newts around the edges of the ponds that are being attacked and killed by fire ants. This transitional area between the edge of the pond and the uplands is perfect for the fire ant. They love areas that flood part of the year and go dry part of the year. That disturbance is something they really cue in on.
That's why you find them along the side of roads and stuff?
That's exactly right. They love mowing. Any sort of disturbance of the ground they really love. Another thing that's making them much more prevalent than they otherwise would be around the pond edges is the off-road vehicle activity and disturbance of the soil.
Not only are they destroying this habitat, they're making fire ants more common, people. This is a problem.
So one hypothesis for the reason that the striped newt has disappeared out of these wetlands while all the other amphibians in the community seem to be doing okay is that frogs can move a lot faster through this area because they can hop and cover ground, and while newts are incredibly slow moving, and so we think that they're just much more vulnerable to fire ant attack because of their speed.
It seems to me like there's one big takeaway from all this, and it's that you've just proven to me yet again that fire ants really, really suck. So I'm gonna go ahead and suggest that we leave crouching over the fire ant nest, if you're cool with that.
I'm cool with that.
Okay, all right. All right, Pierson, I'm soaking wet, I'm muddy. Granted, I had a good time, we saw some cool stuff, but we didn't find any striped newts. I'm kind of bummed. I mean, I thought we were gonna find one.
It's not a surprise we didn't see any. They are extremely rare in these ponds. They haven't been seen in this pond in many years. And even in ponds where we know they are, the detection is really low. Less than 10% of a population we think we can get with a dip net in an hour-long survey.
That makes me feel a little bit better.
So I'm not gonna let you leave here empty-handed though. I've got something to show you.
Whoa, Pierson, this thing's super cool. Look at those stripes. It's like racing stripes down its back.
Yeah,
It's
they're
awesome.
beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah.
So at this stage, it breathes air. And so although they can spend considerable time submerged, they actually need to come up to the surface of the water and gulp air on occasion.
Yeah, I've seen him kind of
breathe
gulping as he sits there. Is this your pet newt?
It kind of is a pet. This one is part of a captive colony that's being maintained. And actually this population we just discovered on private land owned and managed by Tall Timbers Research Station.
Oh, cool.
And so we've been able to collect animals from this population and give them to zoos who are captive breeding them for us to help return them to the Ecological National Forest.
Now, why captive breeding and why that method of conservation versus just protecting the ponds?
Unfortunately, all the newts are already gone from these ponds, and so we can't really protect something that's disappeared. And so we need to try and put them back and try to get populations going again out here so we can actively manage for them.
So you're going out, you're dip netting the ponds and capturing newts and bringing them into captivity. And what's it look like in captivity? I mean, do you just have containers like this, basically?
Fortunately, striped newts are really easy to breed in captivity. Basically, you give them a tub of water and some plants and keep them clean, and they lay eggs and reproduce really well. So the zoos have had a lot of luck breeding them. Unfortunately, they don't seem to be doing very well in the wild setting, and we're still trying to figure out why.
Now, how many are you releasing when you go and release them?
We'll release several dozen at a time, or we're hoping here in the near future to release several hundred at a time.
Wow. And of those, how many do you expect, if you had to say, would survive?
Right now we're getting really low survival rates. So we need to just keep putting out large numbers of animals on the landscape, and eventually we hope that populations will take. And once they do, then their numbers will increase dramatically in a short amount of time.
And you basically go out to these ponds, you just net like we were doing until you find them, or do you have any other ways of kind of tracking them over time?
Yeah, that's a good question. We use a combination of methods. So dip netting is the best way to survey a large number of wetlands for the species. For particular wetlands, we can use what's called a drift fence. So it's essentially a wall that surrounds the wetland and captures any small critter trying to move in or out.
Wait a sec though, but putting a wall around the wetland, that's gotta hurt the population, right? Aren't you kind of walling them in from reaching the uplands?
That's right. It is checked every morning. And I got to give a shout out to the Coastal Plains Institute, which has done most of the work on this project.
They are cool looking, but I got to ask the question. This little newt lives in a habitat that most people are never going to go to. And it's an animal that even if they go to it, they're never going to see. So why should anyone care about protecting this species?
Right. Amphibians are the proverbial canary in the coal mine. And if amphibians are disappearing from the landscape, that means something is badly wrong with the landscape, and it's something that could be affecting us. And so the fact that striped newts have disappeared could be telling us something about the water quality, for instance. Since these ponds are tied directly to the aquifer underlying the big city of Tallahassee, where we get all our drinking water, if there's some sort of water contamination issue, it's affecting the newts, it could be affecting us.
So they're kind of like the litmus test for how the habitat is doing around us.
That's right.
Y'all will not believe what has happened. So we were wrapping up shooting with Pierson at our last location. All of a sudden, I see Pierson kind of get far more excited than I've seen you ever. And so I knew something was going on, and it turned out that Pierson got a call that Matt had found something very significant in the pond just over there. So Matt, what did you find?
Well, after surveying for gopher frogs for a few minutes, I found these adult striped newts. They are some of the last remaining individuals of the native Ecological National Forest population of striped newts.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they're both male. Males aren't the ones that produce the eggs, but they could definitely both contribute to the captive population. This one's actually quite interesting looking. It has a black stripe instead of an orange stripe.
Very different from the ones we saw.
I've never seen one like that before.
Pretty cool.
What was your reaction when you first found them?
It's like, well, this is gonna make my day a lot longer, but at the same time, it's great.
Yeah, so this is how conservation really works, everyone. So, man, this is so cool. I mean, I just feel privileged to even be able to be seeing this. I feel like I'm not over-exaggerating this, right? These really are rare animals.
Mm-hmm.
No, the last one seen before we rediscovered this population was 2006. They didn't show up again, despite nearly annual surveys, until 2016. So 10 years after they were last seen, they just rematerialized.
Now, something like that has to give you guys hope for other areas throughout the Southeast, right? They could still be hanging on in other places as long as we're managing them correctly.
That's right.
This is conservation in action. You all are seeing this happen right before your eyes. When you protect the newts and you protect the habitat, you're protecting the greater longleaf pine ecosystem that I feel like all three of us really care a lot about. I'm just thrilled that you did this, Matt. This is just the coolest thing. Kind of gives me hope that these things might just make it.
Certainly.
Wild Wander is made possible by the generous support of organizations that believe in the importance of the stories we tell. If your organization would like to talk about a partnership opportunity, contact us at info@macroscopepictures.com.